All right, man, peace. So, brothers, a couple of months ago, I released a pair of videos entitled Concubine Problems. One was featuring Mr. Brandon Browner, who's currently incarcerated due to his inability to deal with his concubine and the problems that arise when you deal with a concubine. He was the former standout cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks and also the New England Patriots. He was incarcerated for breaking into his former paramour's home and attempting to steal back quote-unquote gifts that he had given her, as opposed to understanding that whatever you give to the concubine, you just have to take that as an L, when almost unerringly you end up quote-unquote breaking up with that concubine. Concubines are not built to last. That's why they're concubines. That's why you don't give gifts to concubines that are non-perishable, at least if you're a sensitive type dude. The other video that I released entitled Concubine Problems was featuring Mr. LeSean McCoy, who we see right here, the standout running back formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles, currently of the Buffalo Bills, who seems to be on the decline, and it's around the time for that to occur because he is 30 years old. In his story, one of his former paramours by the name of Delicia Cordon, if I remember correctly, alleges that she was living in a property owned by Mr. McCoy that he wanted her forcefully evicted from, and on the date that they were supposed to appear in court, which was eventually delayed or pushed back, someone broke into the home that she was staying in, owned by Mr. McCoy, pistol whipped her, beat the hell out of her, and stole some of the jewelry that she had been given by Mr. McCoy. So according to her allegations, he set the whole thing up. I did a video about it and I stated that hopefully it was not true, but according to the story, it seemed plausible or relatively plausible. Until you factor in the notion that she's a concubine. So that means that she's capable of what? That means that there is the possibility that she set herself up to get beat down so that she can play the victim role. Go check out that film that Denzel Washington did about 15, 16 years ago called Out of Time, starring himself, Ava Mendes, and Sanaa Lathan. And Sanaa Lathan does something very similar to what could possibly have been done by this former paramour, Miss Delicia Cordon. Sanaa Lathan's character beats herself up in order to convince Denzel Washington that she's being abused by her husband in the film, played by Dean Cain. Well, as we can see here, LeSean McCoy has stopped by the Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman show to give his account of what is occurring, because he's going to be put under that hot spotlight by Miss Molly Karam, or Mrs. Molly Karam Rose, the resident feminist, and let's see how he handles himself. Of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
LeSean McCoy, good to see you. How are we doing?
It's been a long time.
I know it's been a while, man.
Yes, sir.
Right?
I seen you at the Golden State game, right?
We did, that's right.
So.
All right.
Finals.
LeSean, I want to start with the serious stuff and then we'll deal with the football. And I want to actually read this because I don't want to mince any words. So your ex-girlfriend filed a civil suit against you alleging you orchestrated a home invasion. That was in July as you were in the process of evicting her from your Atlanta home. And the home was robbed and she was beaten.
Right.
What's your response to those allegations?
Well,
Why would he respond to an allegation like that, which is clearly a criminal issue that has to be handled in an official court of law? Why would you even ask him a question like that? Oh, I know. It's because NFL players are under an extreme amount of scrutiny for their dealings with women. If you're a player in the NFL, especially a so-called black player, you have to seriously consider making sure that all of your actions with females are videotaped.
well, like I stated before, I have nothing to do with that. And when I heard the news, it hurt me that I was accused of something like that. And I think if anybody that really knows me, they know that I'm not that type of person.
Right, but brother, no disrespect. That defense is not going to fly unless one of your character witnesses is going to be your mom. Because a person's mother will act as a character witness for them even if she knows that he's a serial killer. She'll still say, well, my baby, he was real gentle when he was cutting up them peoples. They don't want to hear that shit. At the end of the day, you slipped up. I'm not saying that you actually committed the deed that has been alleged, that being that you set your former concubine up to get beat down. I'm not saying that you did that. But what I will say is that cats have to stop putting up these hoes in homes because they get very comfortable. And most of these females that you encounter in life are not going to necessarily want you for you, especially if you're in an affluent position. So you have to put them in the position where they have to maintain themselves to a degree. At least try to prove exactly what she's around for. I mean, was the coochie that good that you put her up in a house? That makes no sense whatsoever. Unless she was somebody that you were taking seriously, quote unquote seriously. And why you would consider her somebody to be taken seriously, I have no idea. Having a fat ass and a small waist and big titties is nice, but that does not a wife make.
Even accusing about my child, you know, I'm a great father. Like I said before, if you really know me as a parent and as a player, as a person, you know I have nothing to do with anything like that.
Bruh, some of the nicest people in the world ended up being serial killers, serial rapists, pedophiles, child molesters. That defense is not going to fly. You'd be better off just saying that issue is going to be handled in court.
My team, you know, my organization, for them guys to stand behind me, contest, to tell you what type of person I really am. And I've been playing this game since I've been 6 years old, a young boy, and I love football. And two things I love is football and my son, you know, and my reputation. And I never would jeopardize, you know, them things.
What did the league, if anything at all, what does the league have to say to you about all of this? Obviously, we're living in a different times. They're taking this far more seriously than they would have in the past. At the beginning of the season, when this stuff was going down, there were people that were concerned about your career. They thought your career was in jeopardy. You could potentially be on the commissioner's exempt list, etc. What has the league said to you about any of this, and what is their position at this moment in time?
It's pretty obvious that seeing as how the NFL did not even suspend LeSean McCoy for what he was accused of, tells me that they've done their due diligence and they found no real evidence linking him to the crime with any sense of certainty, or the alleged crime with any sense of certainty. But once again, whenever you're dealing with a woman, you're dealing with an agent of chaos. The woman will incrementally try to, if you allow her, to take over your life, especially a so-called concubine. The concubine operates at a lower level than the wife material woman, but what the wife material woman and the concubine have in common is that they will both try to take over your life until you set a boundary there. You have to establish a boundary. And if the woman cannot deal with the boundary that you set for yourself, either you have to remove her or she's going to remove herself eventually. But most women want to exert some level of control over a man's life. You have to come into any situation dealing with them understanding that and expecting every and anything. Never, ever, ever expect things to go how you hope they're going to go. Always expect things to go how you hope they won't go. And then you'll be prepared for anything.
Well, I think that in this day and age, when somebody says anything, especially with social media, it's a visual thing and everybody just believes it. You know, so with the NFL, they're investigating it also right now. And they're still going through it, and they're investigating me in the situation. But that's it. I mean, I can just be honest with them.
So are you worried about your career? Are you worried about it?
I'm not at all.
Nor should he be. He's already 30 years old. I mean, his career damn near done anyway. He's a running back in the NFL. At 30 years old, at the most, he probably has a couple years left as a starter. Really, the only reason why I would expect him to still have the starting job with the Buffalo Bills next year is because they'll probably be expecting to not be that good. But on a top-notch team, he would have to share running back duties with somebody else.
I know what type of person I am, you know, and all I can do is wait, and then everything will reveal itself at the end.
Sean, you didn't start Week 16 because of reportedly an issue with coach. Why didn't you start Week 16 and tell us?
I didn't start the first play of the game, and I think the honest truth about that is I was late for going to the bus to the game. You know, and one thing about McDermott, he's fair. I'm a captain, and he held me full responsibility for it. You know, and the guy we picked up yesterday to the starter to the all-star, I mean, everybody's the same rules, and it was fair.
When something like that happens, do you think, like, my perception of you is really, really good back. If he's not elite, like the top guy, he's the next thing to it. However, now you're at an age in your career where people start, questioning running backs. You have off-field allegations that are causing you problems. Now, like, when something like that happens, you think, damn, I'm trying to get paid right now, and, like, I'm creating a problem for myself.
Some things I can control, some things I can't control. The thing off the field, I can't control that. But what I can control is the way I conduct myself as a captain of my team. Well, it was a tough year. It really was. I mean, especially for myself. You talk about the age, but I can still play.
Sure.
You know, since I've been in the Bills, I've been a Pro Bowler. Not no alternate, and not just getting picked because somebody didn't want to play.
Well, brother, this last season you were not good. You only averaged about 3 yards a carry, so you were not good this past season.
You look at our team, I think, in the beginning of the year, I mean, we've lost a lot. So I know it'll be a tough year. Our best lineman, Richie Cognito, he kind of retired due to a contract situation. I think our biggest puzzle to our offensive line, Eric Wood, he had a neck injury. He retired. There's 2 veterans, and then we traded Cordy Glenn, who's a pretty good left tackle. So that's 3 veteran guys with experience that leave. I mean, people think you just because of my resume and how good I've done in my career that I could just turn on and off. And it's not like that. I mean, I didn't play well this year also. We had 4 starting quarterbacks in 16 games. And our superstar rookie got hurt a couple of games. So, I mean, it's a tough year overall. But the good thing is, I'll bounce back. I always do. I think the guys in the front office with Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, they'll get the right guys. And we'll get together. We're not far at all. I've been a dog since I've been 8 years old, man. So I'll bounce back, and then we'll have the same talk next year, and hopefully we'll be in the bowl and playoffs, making some noise.
Sean, before we dive,
You know damn well y'all ain't going to no damn playoffs. Just knock it off.
we dive more into football, because these are pretty serious allegations, and I want to give you the...
Yeah, you want to slide back into those allegations and act as if you're a judge in court. Brothers, let me say this, because I oftentimes have a lot of cats come into my comment section and they want me to speak about the preponderance now of black female judges. There's nowhere in the world that a woman should be a judge in a court of law, ever. A lot of people might not like that. I don't give a damn. The woman leads with her emotions, and by nature, she's hormonally and chemically unstable. They should not be trusted to make any type of ruling on serious matters at all, because they're always going to lead with their emotions. And they expect people to tolerate their emotions.
Give you the opportunity here on First Take. If you wanted to convince the public that you are not involved in any of these allegations, this home invasion, this incident, more than one woman is accusing you of these kind of things, is there anything that you want to say here?
You mean the woman who got her ass whooped and her friend? Those are the 2 women who are accusing him. They could very well be Confederate in trying to run a scam to get money out of him. That's how these broads get down. Now, I'm not totally ready to assume that he had nothing to do with it. He very easily could have had something to do with it, because you can tell a lot about a man based on what type of woman he takes seriously. When a dude takes a hood rat seriously, that tells me that he's a hood dude, and you never know what a hood dude will do. He might resort to hood tactics. Hood tactics could be having somebody break into the home and beat the shit out the broad. Who the hell knows? Either way, he does not have to convince the public of anything, because the court of public appeal is going to side against the man, especially the black man, no matter what you say.
You're at this desk.
I mean, people believe what they want.
Exactly.
I mean this by the bottom of my heart. I have nothing to do with it. I can't dive in too much into it just because it's an on investigation right now. It's active. But like I said, if you know me, you know what type of person I am. I've never been in trouble with the law my whole career, my whole life. I have 2 good parents at home that raised me right way. My older brother's a big role model for me.
Anything you would want to say to the women?
I mean, women.
Yeah, keep your hands up. When somebody coming at you to whoop your ass, keep your hands up.
I've never been involved in anything like that ever.
Yeah, why the hell would he want to say something to the women who are accusing him of setting that one woman up to get her ass whooped? Why would he have something to say to them? And as that female has already acknowledged, they're in the midst of a quote-unquote breakup, and she's trying to stay in the home that he put her up in that's in his name. At least he was smart enough to have the home in his name. Some of these guys are such simps, they put the home in the woman's name.
I've never hit a woman. I never put my hands on a woman. I never beat my son. All that stuff is nonsense, But like I said...
And if you had to discipline your son, so what? More of these little boys need to be disciplined. This society wants to teach men that they don't have the right to discipline their son because they want your sons to grow up to be criminals. Once a young boy never has to face reprisal from adults for their actions, they grow up with a mentality of entitlement. And that does not serve the so-called black man well, because he's always going to be held to a higher standard for everything, for conduct, for proficiency, all of that. With the woman, she could talk shit all day, appear before a judge in court and cry and throw herself upon the mercy of the court. But no, it's not his job to sit on the Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman show and hope and beg and plead for people out there to feel sorry for him. He has to take it to court. And hopefully for him, if he indeed is innocent and he's found innocent, he should probably consider suing that female for slander.
At the end, we'll figure it out and you'll see the truth.
Here's the hard part for me. I get where you're coming from in terms of proclaiming your innocence. What I'm a bit alarmed by is the fact that you don't seem to be worried, because to me...
What's the point of being worried, Stephen A. Smith? Hypothetically speaking, if you know that you're going to the electric chair tomorrow morning, you're going to die either way, whether you're scared, happy, mad, or sad. The facts will be brought to the forefront in a court of law. What you're really saying is that you're upset with him, that he's not going to play the simp role like you played in the aftermath of that Ray Rice situation when you told Carrie Champion the truth to her face, that being that women should stop trying to initiate confrontations with men, and they suspended your ass for 2 weeks. You're mad at him for not trying to subvert himself in that same way on national television.
It's not just about you being innocent. It's about it being proven that you're innocent. When you talk to somebody who accused you of abusing your child, another woman accused you of arranging for a home invasion where she was beaten, posting pictures on social media and beyond. In the National Football League, this day and age, they investigate. But because it's the most popular league in America right now, the National Football League, and because of the pressure that has been applied to them to address such issues with vigilance, some would argue, looking at you right here on national television, and say, you don't seem nearly as concerned as you should be. What do you say to that?
What exactly is he supposed to be so concerned about, though? And if he came on TV sweating from his brow and breaking down crying on TV, you say, wow, you seem really concerned for somebody who didn't do anything. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. How exactly is he supposed to be conducting himself?
But when you say that, how concerned should I be?
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Right. That's what I'm asking.
You see what I'm saying? Let me give you an example, right? I had an incident with the police, okay? And they said that I beat up these cops, I did all this stuff, right? And they showed it. In Philadelphia, they show these pictures and these people's faces is all beat up, right? And then they investigate everything, and then nothing happened, right? And then you know what happens? They don't say a word. Oh, LeSean McCoy didn't do it. They just let it go. You know why? Because the story is better and bigger when it's going on,
Absolutely, because they're trying to push and propagate an agenda, and they're using the so-called black athlete, especially the black NFL athlete, as the face of domestic violence. And I've told you brothers this in other videos. The so-called black man in the NFL is the new face of domestic violence ever since Ray Rice. There are white boys out here whooping their women's asses, but they will not have their face on TV. They will not lead any of these shows. And the black women on networks like ESPN don't care to make that distinction, because in their mind, the black man is their number one enemy, not the so-called white man. They don't look at it as they're trying to utilize the black man for a negative stereotype. They look at it as, he looks like that nigga who left me 10 years ago. So you know what? Let's get him too. That's how they look at it. So at the end of the day, he's correct. He's not supposed to be in fear of what they're saying. If he knows that he has not done anything, you hold your head up and you move on. And when the facts come out, the people are either going to agree with you or they're going to let it slide. When it comes to the so-called black man, when he's exonerated, they normally find something else to castigate him for anyway. Reuben Foster was accused of beating up a woman. It was later revealed that it was a bunch of bullshit. ESPN did not do a segment to recant many of the allegations and the aspersions that they heaped upon that man. I had to do a video on it.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, he did this, he did that. But then when it was clear, nobody never came from my defense. Oh, he didn't do it. So I'm not about to sit here and try to fight for the public's opinion.
Right? Fuck the public.
Because you can't win that.
Hold on. I'm not talking about one second. I'm talking about the influence in the NFL. That's my concern.
They have a job to do. It's a billion. Come on, they make tons of money, so they're going to do what they got to do. The other thing is you look at all the allegations of different people. It's like when they're acquitted or they don't do it or they investigate it, they never mention it at all. So I'm not.
Nope, and they don't get mentioned on First Take. You notice that. So I'm going to be following this case, and however it turns out, I will be doing a follow-up on this issue, because this is something that is a teaching moment, is teaching subject matter for many of you brothers out there when you're dealing with these women. That's why I state you have to protect yourself at all times. The woman is capricious. She's very, very changeable. Okay? The woman does not really know how to love. That's why the Most High gave her the maternal DNA, so that she can love her child with a sense of depth. But that's okay, because it follows the natural order, right? Christ is the head of the man, and the scriptures tell us that he gave his life for the church, meaning the elect men. The man by nature, it tells us in the scriptures, should be ready to give his life for his woman. The woman normally is ready to give her life for her child. Very rarely are you going to hear a woman say, I'm ready to give my life for my man, because the order is from the head down. So the real issue is that the so-called black man has a very perverse understanding of the woman. He takes her more seriously than he should. He takes her more seriously than she takes herself. You operate on a higher wavelength, so you have higher standards. Do not have high expectations for the woman when it comes to your interactions with her. The woman is a creature of comfort, and she venerates power. So she's going to gravitate towards people who have more power. That's just how it goes.
Not like, I'm a good person, you know, and I know who I am. And that's the reason why my team fought behind me, you know, and at a time like that. So, man, it's what it is, you know.
It seems that you trust the process, that you think the process will exonerate you because you didn't do anything, and,
right.
And it has in the past. What would you say? I think part of the reason you say the public has a certain opinion is if there are multiple allegations about one individual from different sources about different things, even if it is proven or those allegations are not proven, the public at a certain point goes, why is it always this guy that has, do you have any theories as to why it winds up being you?
Sometimes certain individuals emanate a certain type of energy. They court certain type of people around them. That's why I state you can learn a lot about a man based on the type of woman that he tries to take seriously. You shouldn't be taking any woman serious. But there are wife material women and there are concubine material women. If you try to take a concubine seriously, it's not going to reflect well on you. When a concubine sees that you're taking her seriously, she's not going to respect you as much as she does a pimp. That is why hoes gravitate towards pimps, because a pimp knows how to treat a hoe. He doesn't love a hoe. He knows how to treat a hoe. You know, when a thotty or a prostitute or whatever, a hoe, sees a man who's going to take her seriously, she does not respect him. Even if it's subconscious. She knows the spirit that she was born with. She knows that she cannot change. And she's going to use that man for whatever he's worth and then move on. So respect is about understanding. You have to understand what you're dealing with. You're not going to treat a lion the same way that you would treat a sheep. A sheep does not have the same level of threat as a lion. So if you try to treat a lion like how you would a sheep, you're going to get devoured. That's life. Same thing with a wife and a concubine. A wife material woman, you have to take your time with anyway, because all these women in this society have a little bit of concubine in them. Even the so-called wife material woman does.
I can't answer that. I mean, I don't have a bunch of baggage where I'm always in the eye of the police or doing something wrong, breaking the law. You can check my record. I've never broken the law ever. You know, so that answer I can't give you. You know, nowadays, man, it's like I said, there's sometimes where being in this situation, I'm learning a lot. Like, I'll see something on social media or I'll see something, read something. I'm like, dang, he did that? And then I have to catch myself because
Absolutely.
I don't know the whole story. I don't know.
Absolutely. That's why I tell a lot of these cats that come on my channel, oh, why you doing all these sports videos? You should be talking about so-and-so. Bruh, I don't do hot takes on my channel. I wait to see how events, how they transpire, and then based on things that I research, then I make certain videos when they're ready, when it's time. It's not a hot take channel. I don't say, oh yeah, well, you know, I could tell by this article that this person did such and such and such and such. Things take time. When you're a good cook or a good baker, you put your food in the oven, you know how long it's supposed to be in there. If you take it out before the time, the food is not going to be as nutritious, it's not going to taste as good.
I don't know.
What's your contract situation right now?
I got 1 year left on my deal.
Because okay. I was asking that question because, again, you must, when someone looks at you, they're thinking about, if you are innocent, like you say you are, then somebody's going to ask what would be the motivation behind saying these things about you, lying on you if indeed that's what's taking place.
Why would anybody ask that question who knows anything about most of these modern day women? The woman just wants to see the world burn. I told you she's an agent of chaos. Her attitude is, if I can't get what I want from this man, I'm going to take my pound of flesh from this man. When I say the woman, I'm not talking about all women. I'm talking about the concubine type woman, the liberal woman. And 95 to 98% of these women, that's what they are. So, I mean, anybody who will wonder why this woman will want to tear him down in this way, you don't understand the nature of the woman. Now, if you were to ask, why would the woman go to the extent of possibly beating herself up or having someone come and beat her up in that way? Now we're going into psychological issues, but those type of women do exist. There are women out there who will beat themselves up to try to make law enforcement or the judicial system believe that a man did it. Not saying that that is necessarily what Delicia Cordon did, but would it shock me? No, it wouldn't.
Do you have anything to say publicly about what somebody else's motivation might be towards putting you in these situations, assuming you're innocent?
That's something to be answered in court.
Yeah, I won't get into that. You know, I won't dive into that and make that a bigger thing. I'm not here to try to.
I'll speak for you, bro. For the sake of this video, she's a woman scorned. Okay? She's a woman scorned. She thought that you were a come up, and you probably conducted yourself like that by putting her up in a home like that. That was your first mistake. Until that woman proves herself sequentially, you're not supposed to empower her by putting her up in a home. They get used to stuff like that. Her job is to provide you with happiness. The woman has to be trained from her childhood on how to be a wife and a mother. These women are not trained on how to do that. They're trained on how to accentuate their sexual qualities. They talk about how men sexualize them. No entity sexualizes the woman more than she does herself. When men were in control over how the woman dressed, she always dressed in modest apparel, long dresses, head covered. When the woman started to govern how she dressed herself, that's when you saw the titties come out, the ass crack come out, all these other things. So the woman really has no respect for herself because she's a child with titties. She has to be moderated by men. I'm sure that many people won't like that. It is what it is.
Bash somebody or accuse them of different things. I won't get into that. I'm mature. It's been a long process, with off the field and on the field, and it's been a lot. It's been a lot. So I don't want to get into that, back and forth thing, because I don't gain nothing from that.
Okay, fair enough. Here's the good news.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see how things turn out for Mr. LeSean McCoy. Once again, brothers, always tread lightly when you deal with these females, because there's a reason why they say that, there's nothing like a woman who is scorned. Okay, when a woman is scorned, she will do whatever she needs to do to tear you down, take you down. A lot of these women carry a lot of baggage because they were fed a lot of bullshit in their youth about how life is and how their interactions with men should go. Now they're very embittered because they're in their mid to late 30s and upward, and they're single. Their prospects of securing a good man are diminishing rapidly. They had a good man when they were younger, and now all they have is bitterness. And most of these females between the age of 15 and 35, they're being pumped up by older women to be ignorant in their dealings with men, because the older women do not want to see the younger women have a fruitful relationship, because it will reflect poorly on them. Because now they're an older woman, they have to be by themselves, and their daughters are happy with men. If you understand that the woman for the most part is an agent of chaos, that they've been raised to compete with men as opposed to complement men, it will go a long way in stopping you from getting into situations like a Mr. LeSean McCoy got himself into. Not with what is alleged, but just in putting her up in a home like that. You empowered that woman when you put her up in a home. You never ever do that. Even if you're going to put a chick up in something, put her up in a little apartment. You put her up in a home for. Like, give me a break. A home is for you and your wife, not for a concubine. But anyway,